I'm Ron Wexler with the Wexler Group at Keller Williams in Chicago, and today we're going to talk about how to value your home. So today we're going to talk about the big trends that we're seeing in home prices in 2026. And the truth is, there isn't one trend. So this will be a fun conversation. You know, last week I was with one of the top economists in the country projecting about the real estate industry, and what was very interesting is they turned to us and said, you people in Chicago are lucky. Your market's still going strong. You have one of the strongest markets in the country. And of course, to us, it doesn't feel that way. But they're from Austin, Texas. And you know what's happening in Austin, Texas right now? They have way more inventory than they do people to buy the homes. And their prices, which have skyrocketed over the last 10 years, are finally starting to be more realistic. And so you compare that to us here in good old steady Midwest Chicago, where our prices have stayed stable. We've seen our 3 to 5% a year appreciation like we always do. In a few years, maybe we had 5 or 6%. And for the most part, we've just had a stable market. So now our homes look inexpensive compared to the rest of the world because they've shot up 30 or 40% in value in the last 3 years, and we've gone up 6 or 8 in the last 3 years, if that makes sense. So just thinking about it, it goes back to what we always say, that there's really no such thing as a national real estate forecast. And when it comes down to your home, in your neighborhood, in your market, what we really need to focus on is micro. What's going on right here, possibly even what's going on your street. And to do that, you really need 3 prices. And when you have those 3 prices, you can figure out exactly what the best approach would be for you if selling your home right now is important. So the first thing people tend to do is go to the online pricing tools, right? And there's, Zillow and some other tools like that. And in fact, we have our own. It's called pricemefree.com. You can go to pricemefree.com and put in your information. And what that's going to do is it's going to pull all the active, pending, and sold activity around your home. And then it's going to just guesstimate based on square footage, the age of the home, even the taxes and things like that, where it thinks your home is going to sell. The good news is it usually gives you a pretty good starting off point. The bad news is I don't think I've ever seen one of those estimates that was accurate. So it might give you an idea, but ultimately when it comes to really pricing your home, you need to sit down with an expert on your neighborhood and figure out exactly what your home is going to sell for, based on the activity right around your home and, of course, the amenities of the home that you actually live in right now. So agents will say, let me check the comps. And what we know is comps means comparable sales in the area. Sometimes we include comparable active listings just to get an idea of what we're up against if we go on the market today. But when the agents talk about the comps, all they're saying is what other homes would an appraiser use in figuring out the value of your home compared to similar homes that have sold nearby. From a homeowner's point of view, when you're looking at the comparable sales, what you want to do is find the ones nearest to your home with the nearest features. So you really want to find a home. If yours is brick and it has a full basement, you really want to use another home that's brick with a full basement. If your home's a 2-story and it's frame, if you can find another 2-story that's frame, that's what you want to use. So you want to use a home that's as close in square footage and in structure as you can to your home. And then you want to find something that's not that long ago. Using something from 3 years ago is not going to really do you a whole lot of good. Again, it might give you some ballpark idea, but when it comes right down to it, you really want to use something as recent as possible. So your home's condition impacts the value a lot. And what's important to understand is if your home is in perfect condition, but everything inside of your home is from 1960 or 1970, even though it's mint condition, your wallpaper from Sears is still perfect condition, and your shag carpeting is still in perfect condition, a buyer isn't going to see your home the same way that you see it. So not only is condition as far as cleanliness and updates important, but it's how it compares to what buyers are looking for in today's market too. Right now, buyers are very interested in kitchens that are the modern age, bathrooms that are the modern age. They're not as worried about things like the roof, the furnace, the air conditioning, because they know they're going to be replacing those things at some point during their home ownership anyways. So if those things are upgraded, it's great, and it helps us sell over other homes that they might not be. But as far as making an emotional decision and falling in love with your home, it's going to have a lot to do with the colors and a lot to do with the kitchen and the bathrooms and the upgrades there. Besides the obvious points in the kitchen, like the material of the countertops, the flooring, the backsplash, the cabinets, what they're actually made out of. Besides those type of things, there's also the functionality of the floor plan and how buyers are using houses today. Now, most people want a functional office space in their home. A lot of people want a guest bedroom or an extra bedroom away from the other bedrooms that they can convert to an office or a den or a private workspace. So those things weren't as important in homes built in the 60s and 70s as they are in a home built today. So they affect the value in the buyer's eyes and what they feel they're willing to pay for a home when they take those things into account. So now that we've covered these things, let's consider that an online estimate is exactly that. It's an estimate or even a guesstimate. So when we consider what an agent does, we call that a CMA, or comparative market analysis, or competitive market analysis. We also call it a market evaluation, right? It differs from an appraisal because that's a licensed appraiser giving the valuation based on a very strict set of formulas. When an agent's doing it, they take into account a lot more things about the area, about the condition, and an appraiser really doesn't take into account anything that has to do with the competition, where an agent can look at the competition and really stay on top of if the prices are flat, if they're accelerating, or if they're even decelerating. So you want to take all those things into account. So at the point where you're really ready to figure out exactly what you're going to walk away with, that's the moment to bring in the pros and let an agent who really knows your market work with you to figure out what is the absolute most that a buyer might be willing to pay in today's market for your home. So it's interesting because my partner Tammy is a licensed appraiser who's probably appraised over 10,000 homes. That's one of the reasons our team is so strong, is you have us, the agents on the emotional side, dealing with that, and then we run everything past someone who's one of the top appraisers in Chicagoland. And so what an appraiser does is very unemotional, and it's strictly based on numbers and comparisons. And they're trying to whittle it down to the exact dollar because that appraisal is going to be used for a lender who's pricing a home. And that's why it's so important for the lender. They don't care about anything except, am I getting the value on this home before I lend the buyer the money that they're asking for? So it's very important to have a licensed appraisal when you're doing an estate, when you're doing a mortgage, and maybe when you're doing something where you've got other people involved. Valuation for selling a home to a business, selling a property to a business. When you're pricing a house for the market, you want the expertise of the local agent who knows the current trends and what's going on right at that moment with the homes that are selling in the neighborhood. So we've covered quite a bit here in this video, and what it comes down to is when you're really serious about getting the home on the market or you need an exact price for right now, you should bring in the pros. And until then, if you want to use the online tools, if you want to use pricemefree.com, if you want to use some other online pricing tool, that's really just fine. When you're ready to actually figure out exactly what your home would sell for, and it doesn't mean that you don't have to wait until the day you're ready to go on the market. We can price your home right now for when you're going to be ready in 6 months and know that we'll have to readjust when we sit down together. So you still might want us to come in even long before you're actually ready to hit the market. Just know that when you're ready to hit the market, we come back to the local market. I want to know the homes that have sold on your street, around your home, in our neighborhood, nearby. I want to really hone it down to the ones that matter the most in the eyes of a buyer when they're comparing your home to the market, so we make sure we don't leave one penny on the table that we don't have to. So if you would like us to give you a market evaluation, a full market study, a CMA, all you have to do is reach out to our team. And honestly, if you're not in our market, if you're not in the Chicagoland or Northwest Indiana area, I will get you a top agent anywhere in the country that will do the same. So just reach out to us, let us know your circumstances, and we will take care of it. We'll set up a time to review your property, and if getting inside the property right now is important, we'll take care of that. If just giving you a pretty good ballpark right now is important, then we'll do that too. We'll work with you. Sometimes it's 2 years from our first conversation until we're actually ready to put a home on the market. It doesn't really matter. We're here. I've been here 40 years. I'll be here 40 more. It doesn't really matter. We'll be there when you're ready for us, and we're glad to get in the conversation as early as you're comfortable having us be a part of it. So I hope this was helpful. If you got a lot of information from this and you'd like to see future videos, make sure you hit the like button and let us know. And in the meantime, we appreciate you and look forward to working with you again in the future. Thanks for watching. If you got some value out of this video, please smash the like button or whatever it is the kids say. And if you need any further information, reach out to us. We'll see you on the next video.